Not going to lie, when I saw this was being introduced I laughed my ass off, and when I got it, well, I laughed my ass off. Welcome my fellow scrublords to another Super Unicorn review. Welcome back you disgusting scrublords. Today we look at the Conway, which newsflash, is surprisingly not shit. This 7.0 battle rating machine was built to kick ass and dispense tea, and you guessed it, sugar cubes. Lots and lots of sugar cubes. Anyway, when I first observed this vehicle in the devlog my first reaction was,
holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
and I fully expected it to be a slow loading, lightly armored, derpy piece of shit. And surprisingly GameCube gave me a slow loading, lightly armored, derpy piece of shit. Except it's not a piece of shit. You see, what you have here is a tank that is literally so ugly that people dunk their shots out of how scary that shit is.
Surprise, it's me.
This vehicle also mounts the same gun as the Kemperor, which means it gets very good penetration, especially when it's put up against 6.7 scrublords that it can simply munch on all day long. This thing will deliver its super crumpet slugs through a T-44's frontal hull armor at over 2,000 meters, and at a rate comparable to that of Bernie Sanders' campaign falling flat on its face. Mobility wise it can be described as better than the average British foreign policy. It has a maximum speed of 37 km per hour, which allows it to move from flank to flank, dealing with heavily armored opponents as easily as Britain beat the shit out of the Italians in North Africa before Germany came in and fucked it up. This also allows it to appear in unexpected places to really fuck up the enemy's day. Also its reverse speed isn't bad either. Being mounted on a Centurion chassis its reverse speed comes out to 12 km an hour, which allows it to get back into cover relatively quickly. So I mentioned its armor is shit. Well yes, this is true except for one portion, and that is the gun mantlet. Almost without fail I see people do nothing but shoot the gun mantlet like the fucking idiot scrublords they are. And this is because they underestimate the complexity of British engineering. Because that mantlet is a 140mm plate in front of a 130mm thick turret face. So the effective armor on the gun mantlet is 270mm of armor. And that is exactly where almost everybody and their fucking mother shoots this thing. And if you do, the Conway will just laugh at your dumbass for trying, and will casually put a 120mm crumpet slug right through your dumb fucking face. If you need to shoot it somewhere on the front of the turret, aim for the base of the turret. It's only about 130mm thick and easily penetratable. Also the hull armor would be more suited to a fucking tier 2, and is only 76mm thick. Also there is a massive ammo rack behind it, so there's that too. Now for the gun. Well there isn't much to cover here other than the fact that it will literally penetrate anything in the game. It's the same gun that's on the Kemperor. As a result it has the same shot L1G crumpet slug with 361mm of penetration at 100 meters and the shell L1TK pancake round with 150mm of armor threshold. It also has the same rate of fire which is complete shit. Even with an ace crew the best reload for this gun is 14.9 seconds. Which means that if you fuck up your shot like I fucked up your mother, most enemies will get 2 shots to kill you before you reload. That's why it's critical that you don't engage in one-on-one combat head-on like a filthy peasant IS tank. It can however hold down a position if it can hide its shitty hull armor and only exposes the gun. Speaking of which, finding hull down positions you can actually use on this tank is a bigger pain in the ass than Taco Bell for dinner, mainly because you only have 5 degrees of gun depression, which is the worst gun depression in the British tech tree seeing as the standard is 10. This means that you are essentially confined to fights on level ground. Hills and ridges can be horrible for the Conway due to this stupid feature. Also the vehicle only holds 20 rounds of ammunition, which initially sounds really bad, but combined with the rate of fire on the gun, I have never run out of ammunition. I believe the most crumpet and pancake shells I served was around 14 in one game. So you could probably get away with carrying at least 15 sabo and 5 hash depending on what breakfast type you prefer. Modifications should go as follows: parts, turret drive, FPE, adjustment of fire, and elevation mechanism. These are the only critical unlocks for this vehicle. You get both shells right off the bat, so you don't need to worry about a stock grind too much. As for crew, you want to get that reload time down as fast as you can, so put all your crew points into weapon reloading and leadership. Then if you have the cash, buy the expert crew. This should get your reload down to a reasonable level and allow you greater opportunities to serve some British imperialism to the filthy shitviet peasants. As for how it plays, well, I prefer to play it as a hard-hitting medium, dealing with heavily armored enemies and either ammo racking them or critting them. I especially love T44s and T54s due to their front-mounted ammo racks. It's an easy one-shot, and after having been seal clubbed by them in the past, I have no mercy for the buggers. Another way the Conway can be effective is for picking off targets from long range, but let's be honest here, that shit is boring as fuck. I mean, you might as well set up a shitty excuse for a BBQ and then give up and let the Americans cook. But I digress. So now you know the third law of warfare. The first being never invade Moscow during the winter. The second being don't fuck with the Finns. And the third being don't make fun of the Conway or he will blast you into the next War Thunder update. Thank you for watching this shitty video, UT slurping window lickers. If you want to see last week's video on the premium German go-kart, click the video on screen. Also click the like button if you haven't already, and make sure to check out my Patreon page to see how you can give me all your money. See you next week, you fucking scrub lords.